Yahweh. I'm not the house of Yahweh and many other religious groups. But for some reason, I was attracted to Yahweh's house. When I first seen Israel, I seen him dressed in a linen talit, speaking about the Sabbath. I was amazed. Now, we all know that the religious leaders, let me know when my time is up. And I only please also post for me, if you can. There is so many prophecies on the two witnesses. I just really don't know where to begin. So many different angles I can come from. But I'm going to start with this introduction here. Because I don't bring my own words. I repeat the words of Israel. The two witnesses. Let's go over the message that they are prophesied to bring. We're also going to see what makes the religions hate the two witnesses. Give me a one if you've ever read Revelation 11. If you've ever read Revelation 11, you can see that these two prophets are hated by the world. But what message are they prophesied to bring that makes the religions hate them? Hate the Messiah. And also hate Yahweh, the Creator. The religious world persecuted and killed many of Yahweh's prophets, the Savior, his disciples, and their followers. The last work of Yahweh, the seventh work, if you've ever read Revelation chapter 2 and 3, you know there are 7 prophesied works. The last work of Yahweh, or the last 2 works, the 6th work called Laodicea, and the 7th work called Philadelphia. These are the last 2 works of the 2 witnesses, if you didn't know. Do you think the religious world will persecute them? Will you persecute them? The religions persecuted the prophets, right? Calling them cult members. The religions persecuted and murdered the Savior. They told the people that the Messiah was the head of a cult. The religions also persecuted and murdered the apostles. They told the people that the apostles were part of a cult. My first verse is Acts 28:22. My first verse is Acts 28:22. See, the house of Yahweh was established by Yeshua. Hold your place there. Let's go to Matthew 16. Matthew chapter 16, verse 17. I say to you who are Kepha, whose name means rock. We discussed this a little while ago. That upon this rock, though, but upon this rock, verse 18, this is Matthew 16:18. Upon this rock I will build this house. Now they translated this church. Did Yeshua build the Catholic Church? Or did Yeshua reestablish the house of Yahweh? Beit Yahweh. Yeshua said, I will build the house of Yahweh, and the gates of Sheol will not prevail against this. So the house of Yahweh established by Yeshua, if you give me 1 Timothy 3:15, this was known as the pillar and ground of Yahweh's truth. This was first merely looked upon as another sect of the Jews, of the many sects of normative Judaism by the Roman Empire. But in Acts 28:22, and I'll close here, Acts 28:22, we see they're asking the Apostle Shaul, we're eager to hear from you what you think. For as concerning this sect, notice, as concerning this sect, we know that everywhere it is spoken against. The sect of the house of Yahweh was greatly spoken against by the Jewish groups. But Rome actually considered the house of Yahweh just...
Yes. Thank you for that, Oki. Your time is up, and we have our next debater, Dr. Chrisclaus. Your opening statement, 5 minutes. Mic's free.
Yeah, thank you very much. I only serve Jesus. I do thank Olkey for accepting the debate with me today, and I do thank everybody that's come into the room to listen to me and Olkey talk about this topic. And now I'd just like everybody to bow their head for a minute. I do pray to God that He gives me the ability to defend His word with authority and conviction. And also, if there's one out there that does have this question, please let it be answered today. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, amen. So what I want to get into here first is the topic of the debate is actually the two witnesses. Did they establish the house of Yahweh? Now, for us to be able to take a look into that, we need to understand a little bit about the two witnesses. There may be some people in this room that don't quite know. Could you please post Revelations chapter 11, verses 3 to 12 for me, please? And I will just start off while he's doing this, and I will grant authority to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. I imagine you'll have it in here in a minute. I'll just wait till you have it in here. Thank you very much. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out their mouth, and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power out of waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. Now you can go ahead and read on to the rest. That's why I wanted him to post it in the room. But I'm just going to stop there, because we need to now find out about these prophets of the house of Yahweh and what Deuteronomy actually says about these prophets. So, can you please post Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 21 and 22, please? Again, that's Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 21 and 22, and I'll go ahead and read them. But you may wonder, how will we know whether or not a prophecy is from the Lord? If the prophet speaks in the Lord's name, but his prediction does not happen or come true, you will know that the Lord did not give that message. That prophet has spoken without my authority and need not to be feared. Now, why am I going to that verse? Well, mainly because if the two witnesses came and they made a prophecy and that prophecy did not come to pass, by Moses, this person did not speak what the Lord has given them to speak. They spoke presumptuously. Now let's take a look into at least two of the predictions of the house of Yahweh. In 1999, here I'll just go ahead and post it into the room as well. Hopefully I can get this in before my time is up. And it says here, in the Channel 4 documentary entitled Welcome to Armageddon, Hawkins stated 4/5 of the world's population is going to be wiped out between now and the middle of the year 2002. He even said, mark it on your calendar. 4/5 of the world's population. And when the interviewer asked, what if what you're saying doesn't happen, Hawkins replied, there is no possibility that it could not take place, just as I have told you. And now the next one, I may not get in here quite as much, but in September 12th of 2006, this is as well said. Now what I want to do is I want to end my opening presentation with, how can the two witnesses sent by God that speak what God has given them to say make claims or prophecies that do not come to pass, that go against what Moses spoke in Deuteronomy 18. I believe they cannot. And this is why I do not believe that the two witnesses established the house of Yahweh. Thank you very much. Off the mic.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Dr. Chrisclaus. And now we have that was the end of the opening statement. And now we have the 5-minute rebuttals. So we have Oki, 5 minutes, and then we have Dr. Chrisclaus after that. So go ahead, Oki. You can start your 5 minutes rebuttal.
Alrighty, I'll answer what the gentleman just said. I'll correct that and help him understand the prophecy. But there's also more that I have to bring. When you get into the two witnesses, the only thing or the deepest that Christianity gets into the two witnesses and their work in the last days is Revelations 11. That's as deep as they get into it is Revelation 11, which gives you very little information on the two witnesses. But if you will study the whole subject of the two witnesses out, here a little and there a little, as it is spoken of in Isaiah 28, this is the way the scriptures are written in Isaiah 28, verse 10, precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little. So if you study out the subject of the two witnesses, here a little and there a little, you will see the two witnesses are just the wind up. They're just the finishing part of Yahweh's plan. In fact, the last witness, Israel, the last witness is actually the 7th messenger. Jacob was the 6th messenger. This 7-lamp lampstand that you just read about and don't even understand, the 7th messenger makes complete the 7-lamp lampstand, and it shows the 7 eras. If you will look at Revelation chapter 11, verse 4, it says the two witnesses are 2 olive trees, and they're the 2 lamps. They're the 2 lamps of the 7-lamp lampstand, ministering for the Father. Now these 2 witnesses, this is translated candlesticks in the King James. But look at Zechariah 4:14. I had brought this to the Jewish people the other day in Zechariah 4:14. He said, these are the 2 anointed ones who stand for the supreme ruler. So we've got to get in touch with these. These 2 anointed ones, they stand for Yahweh throughout the whole earth. So that lets us know we've got to get in touch with these. There should be a worldwide search for these 2 anointed ones. This is the time period. Matthew 24:7. This is the time. We have the disease epidemics. We have the incurable diseases. Nation has risen against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There's famines everywhere. People are starving to death. There's pestilences everywhere. This word pestilence means disease epidemics. There's earthquakes, there's floods, there's tornadoes in place after place. Verse 8, all these are the first half of the tribulation. Verse 9, they will hand you over. That means that this time period, the group is here. They will hand you over to be afflicted. Notice in verse 14, Matthew 24:14. This message of the kingdom, and I'll come back and answer your question about the nuclear baby, which you don't understand. But this message of the kingdom will be preached to all the world by the witness. The original says it'll be preached in all the world by a witness. By a witness. Revelation 11 verse 3. I will give power to my 2 witnesses to prophesy. Who else you think is taking the message of the kingdom to the world? It's not Christianity. It's not Islam. It's not Judaism. Who's taking the message of the kingdom to the world? It's the two witnesses. When I come back, I'll explain the prophecy of Daniel 9:27, the missing week. The missing week starts with the Oslo Accords. There's a 7-year peace plan signed by Yitzhak Rabin. That doesn't mean the governments would end in 2000. It depends on how long the prophesied plan is active. The Oslo Accords were stopped and started and stopped and started. That stopped the prophetic timetable. I'll come back and explain more. May Yahweh bless your understanding.
Thank you, Oki, for your 5 minutes rebuttal. And now we have Dr. Chrisclaus, your 5 minutes rebuttal. Go ahead, mic free.
Yeah, thank you very much. I only serve Jesus. Thank you as well, Olki, for that on the mic. Now, I want to start off my 5-minute rebuttal by saying I'm not sure what I'm supposed to rebut yet. I haven't really saw any evidence provided that the two witnesses founded or established the house of Yahweh, and I thought that was the actual debate. I actually think Olki's taken his 5 minutes each time just to try to teach the room about each things. Now, this isn't a teaching, Olki, this is a debate. You must have to present evidence for your case, which, as you can see, I did in my opening presentation, how I showed that if a prophet speaks or predicts something and does not predict, or the prediction does not come true, then this man did not hear it from the Lord, as said by Moses back in Deuteronomy 18. But I want to continue with what he was speaking about anyways, because he did dabble into a little bit into Revelations chapter 11. But the problem with going into Revelations chapter 11 is it kind of defeats the purpose of Yisrael Hawkins as being one of the two witnesses. And now why would I say this? Well, let's go to verse 5. If anyone tries to harm them, fire comes from their mouths and devours their enemies. Now, did Yisrael Hawkins have fire come out of his mouth and devour his enemies? And we'll just keep going. This is how anyone who wants to harm them must die. Well, there's been many that have tried to harm Yisrael Hawkins in the past, but none of them died this way. They have the power to shut up the heavens so that it will not rain during the time they are prophesying. Well, I had Olki saying that he heard Yisrael talking about a certain thing, and that's what drew him close to him. Well, it's always rained. I would really love to see how Olki would explain away how he could shut off the rain during his prophecy times. And now let's just keep going. They have the power to turn the waters into blood and to strike the earth with every kind of plague as often as they want. Again, nothing from the house of Yahweh, from Yisrael Hawkins, in that manner. So when you go to Revelations chapter 11 and you try to use that as the proof text to show that Yisrael Hawkins is one of the two witnesses, you must fail. Because there's no evidence that Yisrael Hawkins has ever done this in his life. Now, in Olki's rebuttal, I didn't hear much of the failed prophecies of one of these two witnesses. I'm just going to go over Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 21 and 22 one more time. But you may wonder, how will we know whether or not a prophecy is from the Lord? If the prophet speaks in the Lord's name, but his prediction does not happen or come true, you will know that the Lord did not give that message. Again, I just want to go back over. I just want to repost in the room here one more time. Back in 1999, right around the same time that Olkey was listening to Yisrael Hawkins, says 4/5 of the world population is going to be wiped out between now and the middle of the year 2002. And when asked, what if what you're saying doesn't happen, Hawkins replied, there is no possibility that it could not take place, just as I have told you. Well, this prediction did not come to place in 2002. So by the words of Moses, this man did not get this from the Lord. 15 seconds left, so I will yield my mic. Off the mic.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Chrisclaus, for your, that was the time there, for your rebuttal. Now we're going to do the 10-minute crossfire. So, okay, you will have 10 minutes. 1 minute to ask a question for Oki, right? Only 1 minute, Oki. And Dr. Chrisclaus will have 2 minutes to answer that question. So, are you ready, Oki, for your 10 minutes? Remember, you have 1 minute to ask a question. All right? Yeah, you need to ask questions, Oki. This is the crossfire. Yeah, you need to ask questions. Yeah, 1 minute to formulate your question. And Dr. Chrisclaus will have 2 minutes to answer that. Are you ready for that, Oki? Go ahead, your mic. Mic's free.
No. You've got to let the discussion go on a little bit longer. We'll do the crossfire later. We've got to let the discussion go on a little bit longer. I haven't covered anything yet. He's answering double questions. So let me answer the nuclear baby, and let me answer Revelation 11. I have this under control. You ready? Now, first of all, the nuclear baby. I don't have any questions. This is an hour debate. We have a long time. It's only been about 10 minutes. First of all, the nuclear baby goes as such, and I'm going to show you this prophecy was fulfilled. So please, I hope you're not calling for the death of this witness. I hope you're not. The nuclear baby goes as such. Yahweh inspired his prophets and apostles to prophesy of a nuclear baby. It was prophesied to be conceived September 12, 2006, which it was. Go to YouTube, get the films, watch the prophecy being fulfilled. Okay? This is when the nuclear baby was to kill a third part of man over a fourth part of the earth in and around the great river Euphrates. Now, give me 1 Thessalonians 5, 1 through 3. Learn why it's called the nuclear baby. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 1 through 3. But concerning the times and seasons, brothers, you have no need that I should write to you. You yourselves know perfectly that the day of Yahweh comes as a thief in the night. Verse 3. For when they say peace, you're going to see this. They're going to say peace, true peace. Shalom, shalom. You see this being the sudden destruction. That's the nuclear baby right there. This sudden destruction will come upon them how? As labor pains upon a woman with child. That's why it's called the nuclear baby, given the 9-month gestation period. Because it shows it comes as labor pains upon a woman with child. And they will not escape. But there's another prophecy that must be fulfilled. Yahweh actually fulfilled the date. I'm going to read the news articles. Condoleezza Rice said a war. Condoleezza Rice said a war does not start with the dropping of a bomb. A war starts with the decision to drop and the planning to carry out the decision to drop the bomb. I'm going to now show you that this prophecy was fulfilled on the exact date, June 12, 2007. The Air Force, President Bush, if you don't remember this and you wasn't studying it, President Bush actually gave the order. Yes, we got it right here. I'm going to show you where you can get it and look it up. President Bush actually gave the order to drop the nuclear bomb. But the Air Force refused to fly the nuclear weapons to the Middle East and drop them. The WMR has learned from the United States and foreign intelligence sources that the B-52 was transporting 6 stealth AGM-129 advanced cruise missiles. Each were armed with a W-80-1 nuclear warhead. On August 30th, they were destined for the Middle East via Barksdale Air Force in Louisiana. That's from thepeoplesvoice.org. Notice the date of the paragraph, August 30th, 2007. Remember Condoleezza Rice's statement. So when was the plan conceived? August is only 2 months from June 2007, when it shows the prophecy of a third of man would die by a 9-month nuclear baby. Now let me read you this article right here. This one is amazing. Bush gave the command, but the Air Force revolted. This is amazing. Let me read this. It is now apparent that the command and control breakdown was reported. This was reported as bent spear. If y'all want to search this, this was reported as bent spear incident in the Secretary of Defense. This was not the result of a command or control chain of command failures. This was the result of a revolt. Now get this. This was the result of a revolt and a push back by various echelons within the Air Force and the intelligence agencies against a planned U.S. attack on Iran using nuclear weapons. The U.S. attack on Iran using nuclear and conventional weapons was scheduled to coincide with Israel's air attack on the Syrian nuclear facility. They were planning to hit Iran. They were planning to hit Iran with at least 6 nuclear bombs at the same time Israel was attacking Syria's facility on the Euphrates River. The Euphrates River is in Revelation 9:13 through 15. I need this, please. Revelation 9:13 through 15 shows the date that is given in prophecy of this great war with nuclear war. So this fulfills the prophecy. This actually fulfills the prophecy, although the nuclear wars were held back from the prophesied date. Because remember Revelation 7 verse 1, if you know Revelation 7 verse 1, Yahweh said he would hold back the winds of war. I saw 4 Malachim standing on the 4 corners of the earth. They were holding back the 4 winds of the earth. So the nuclear date, let's go back to Revelation 9 verse 14. Loose the 4 messengers, the same ones. Loose the 4 messengers who are bound for the great river Euphrates. Verse 15 gives you the date. The 4 messengers were prepared for an hour, a day, a month, and a year in order to slay a third part of the men. Iran is located in this 4th part of the earth. This is where the 6, it wasn't going to be 1 nuclear bomb. They were going to hit Iran with 6 nuclear bombs. They were going to wipe out the country. This nuclear baby probably could have wiped out the Middle East. In June 2007 is when the United States Air Force, reading this article, the United States Air Force, they have been working on an attack plan for Iran since June 2007. It's right here in the date. I got it highlighted in the article. This is from the same news article, thepeoplesvoice.org, 9/27/07. Although another birth pain took place, September 6, 2007, Remember Israel dropped a bomb on the very banks of the great rivers Euphrates? This was later reported to have been done by the quartet, particularly the United States. Revelation 6 verse 8. I looked and behold a pale horse. I have to quote these because y'all don't know these. Revelation 6:8. I looked and behold a pale horse. The name of him who sat upon it was Death, Sheol, the grave followed with him. Power was given them over a fourth part of the earth. The fourth part of the earth is that Middle East area. Iran, Iraq, Syria. This is where the great Euphrates run through. Power was given them over a fourth part of the earth to kill with sword. Sword is war. Hunger, that's famine. Pestilence, that's disease. That's what we just read in Matthew 24:7. The same is under the authority of the beast of the earth. This is done under the beastly system of the earth. Revelation 11:5. Notice you skipped verse 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. You jumped all the way to fire. Let's look at the mistranslated King James Version. Revelation 11 verse 5. If any man among you, if any man will hurt them, the fire proceeds out of their mouth. So you're thinking of Dragon Ball Z. I know, I used to think this too. How can any human being spit fire out of their mouth? Won't it burn their teeth? You should realize by now, Dr. Chrisclaus, you should realize this scripture is written in symbolic language. For anyone to believe that fire, actual flames and smoke, would proceed out of someone's mouth to kill someone, this is beyond belief. As well as this is beyond the physical laws that Yahweh himself set in motion. I'll come back and explain what fire is. Fire is the every word of Yahweh. Hebrews 4:12. You should know what the...
Thank you very much, Oki, for your so-called 10 minutes crossfire. And now we have Dr. Chrisclaus, 10 minutes crossfire. He's going to have 1 minute to formulate a question. And Oki, you will have 2 minutes to answer that question. Your mic, Dr. Chrisclaus, 10 minutes.
Yes, thank you very much. I only serve Jesus. Yeah, I was expecting during Olki's 10-minute crossfire at least a formulated question or whatnot. Well, that was the format that we agreed to anyways before the debate, but I'll formulate my question. In Deuteronomy 18, verses 21 and 22, Moses tells us how we can tell if a prophet is speaking from the Lord or from their own mind. Would you agree with what Moses said in Deuteronomy 18, 21 and 22, Olki? Off the mic.
Alrighty, let's take a look at Deuteronomy 18, 21, and 22. I agree with 100% of what Moshe is saying. But you being a Christian, trying to go back to the law that you don't even believe in, you try to twist and use the law against Israel. Let's take a look at what the law actually says. Give me Deuteronomy 21. Give me Deuteronomy 18, 21. One verse at a time. Verse 21. You may ask for yourself, how can we know when a message has not been spoken by Yahweh? How can we know? Verse 22. If what a prophet proclaims in the name of Yahweh does not come to pass, which I just proved now, remember, I just proved the prophecy came to pass. The order was given. Bush gave the order. Yes, Bush gave the order in June of 2007, bomb Iran. Bomb them. The Air Force refused. That fulfilled the prophecy. Let's finish verse 22. If what a prophet proclaims in the name of Yahweh does not come to pass or does not come true, that is a message Yahweh has not spoken. That prophet has deliberately, willfully, knowingly spoken what is not true. Don't reverence him. This Hebrew root word zud, the Hebrew root word zud means a person who sins. Dr. Chrisclaus, this means the word presumptuously. It means a person who sins. One who breaks the laws of Yahweh, like the Sabbath, pagan holidays, Christmas, Easter, that you keep. A person who sins teaches false doctrine. So, Dr. Chrisclaus, this very law you're quoting, it calls for you. You're a person who sins. You teach false doctrine. You don't do this ignorantly or advertently. You're doing it willingly and knowingly. You know Sunday's not the Sabbath. You know.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Olkey, for your 2-minute answer. So from that, Olkey did say yes, he agrees with what Moses said in Deuteronomy chapter 18, 21 and 22. Excellent. Thank you very much, Olkey. So now I will formulate my second question for you now. In 1999, Yisrael Hawkins predicted that 4/5 of the world population is going to be wiped out between now and the middle of the year of 2002. So that is a 2.5-year gap that he had for this prophecy to come true. He was also asked, what if what you're saying doesn't happen? And he said, there's no possibility that it could not take place just as I have told you. Now, Olkey, did 4/5 of the world's population get wiped out between 1999 and the middle of the year of 2002? Off the mic.
Now you're being dishonest. You're not quoting Yisrael verbatim. That channel 4, I want it from Yisrael's website. I want it from him because I got the books here. I got the book, the end, right here. Let me read it to you. The prophet Daniel shows this destruction would end with the 7-year peace plan, the Oslo Accords, which was invented by the Roman Catholic Church. This plan was signed on October 13, 1993. It went into effect October 13, 1993. Let me quote what you false prophets will not quote Yisrael for saying. Yisrael says right here on the book, the end, page 24, the last paragraph. He said, this is not to say that the world's governments will end September 13th, 2000. As I just told you, he says, the period of time during which the plan is active. This is the major factor concerning this prophecy. Remember, the inactive time of this plan is not considered part of the 7 years. I've been hearing Yisrael Hawkins say 3.5 years, 3.5 years, 3.5 years for years and years and years. I've wondered, what does he mean? When Yisrael Hawkins says
Olkey, are you here? Can you hear me? Olkey? 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 Are you here? Olkey? Olkey? Do I have sound, guys? Do you hear me, Olkey? You dropped the mic. Do you hear me? Olkey, can you hear me? Okay, you dropped the mic. You had 30 seconds. Go ahead, 30 seconds, your mic.
okay, did y'all get the part? Did y'all get the part about the prophetic inactive part of the time? The inactive time of the 7-year peace plan is not considered the part of the prophecy. So in Revelation 11 verse 3 it says 2 witnesses will foretell events about the 3.5 years. You're not prophesying about the last 3.5 years, Dr. Chrisclaus. You're not the one who's foretelling events about the last 3.5 years. It's the 2 witnesses who are to foretell events about the last 3.5 years. Do you even know what the last 3.5?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Olkey, for your 2-minute answer. But again, you didn't answer the question that I asked you. The question that I asked you is, did 4/5 of the world's population get wiped out between 1999 and the middle of the year of 2002? Again, did 4/5 of the world's population get wiped out between 1999 and the middle of the year of 2002? Off the mic.
Answer to your question is no. 4/5 of the population did not get wiped out between 1999 and 2002. But Yisrael Hawkins never said that. You lying Christians have twisted his words. This is the point. Y'all want to prove Yisrael Hawkins wrong so bad, you even twist his words. You change his dates. Yisrael's given you his dates. He's wrote his dates in books. But you want to change the date to 1999 to 2002. No, the prophecy goes as follows. The nuclear baby was the nuclear baby began September 12, 2006. 9 months later, June 12, 2007, the nuclear baby would be born. The nuclear baby doesn't kill 4/5 of the Earth's population. You don't even study Israel's prophecy. Let me give it to you. The nuclear baby kills 1/3 of the population. The nuclear baby kills 1/3 of the population, over a 1/4 part of the Earth. Now, what you're speaking of is the nuclear granddaddy. It's the nuclear granddaddy that kills 4/5 of the Earth's population. That's what you see in Revelation 6:12. That's what you see in Revelation 6:12. This is the nuclear granddaddy, I call it. When he opened the sixth seal, and there behold a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth, and the moon became as blood. This is when you will go to verse 13. This is when you will run and seek protection for yourselves and your governments and your houses of gods, your houses of Elohim. This is when it's prophesied that y'all will run to your houses of Elohims for protection. Instead of
Thank you very much. So Olkey has said yes, he believes Deuteronomy 18. Oh wait, never mind. I'll finish up with that. I do need to formulate another question for Olkey. Olkey, can one of the two witnesses commit a sin? Off the mic.
Give me a one if I can be heard, please. There's only one person besides Yahweh himself. There's only one other besides Yahweh himself who is free of sin. That's Yahshua the Messiah. That's Yahshua the Messiah. Look at Romans. Well, I don't even need to quote that. Let me get this on record real quick. Let me give you the name of the two witnesses. I want this on record. This may go out. People may hear this. The prophet Isaiah has much to say about the last days. He speaks about a group of people who escape to a place of safety. Isaiah calls this group the seed of the two witnesses. But Isaiah actually gives us the name of the two witnesses. Give me Isaiah 44, 1 and 2. Yes, from the scriptures themselves, the name of Yahweh's two witnesses are written. Isaiah 44, 1. Yet now hear, Jacob, my servant, and Yisrael, whom I've chosen. Verse 2. This is what Yahweh said. He made you and formed you from the womb, a singular womb. Who will help you? Do not be afraid, Jacob, my servant. And Yeshrion. Yeshrion is an alternate name which means beloved Israel. The very first thing I want you to notice in this scripture is this. Yahweh is speaking of two separate people, but only of one womb. The Hebrew word womb is 1990. It's the Hebrew word betin. So this shows the two witnesses are brothers, Dr. Chrisclaus. The two witnesses are brothers from the same womb. May Yahweh bless your understanding.
Thank you for the mic, and I appreciate those 10 minutes, Dr. Chrisclaus. Now we're going to move forward to the 5 minutes conclusion. And so yeah, Oki, you will have your 5 minutes, closing statement. All right. And then we have, after that, we will have Dr. Chrisclaus. So go ahead, Oki, your mic.
Now, we should not be closing because I haven't even started. Remember, this was supposed to be an hour long. Remember, we agreed this was at least an hour long. Are y'all cutting this short? There's too much more I have to cover. But I've got to correct his lies first, and I'm not even able to show the teaching on the two witnesses. So we should still have another 30 minutes, really. It really hasn't been a whole hour. Not yet, it hasn't. In Isaiah 44, verse 2, we see the word Yeshrion, right? Yeshrion is an alternate name for Yisrael. It means beloved Yisrael. Yeshrion means beloved Yisrael, the upright one. It means divine election is elected. So Yisrael is the one who's elected. He's the spokesman. Yisrael Hawkins is the spokesman for the two witnesses, Jacob and Yisrael Hawkins. The third fact is Yahweh has specifically said in these two scriptures that these two men are his servants. They're his servants whom he's chosen. Therefore, it is Yahweh himself who has chosen his two witnesses, Jacob and Israel. Give me Isaiah 44:5. I'm going to show you more prophecy on the two witnesses' names. I mean, this can go on for 7 hours and I cannot be even finished. We find the prophecy which shows how these two men, it shows you how they get their names. They're not born with these names. This shows you how they obtain their names. This is the most outstanding sign. Matter of fact, this is the most outstanding sign. This is the prophesied way in which Yahweh's two witnesses would obtain their prophesied names. This is the most outstanding sign that Yahweh gives that these two men are his witnesses. Let's notice. One shall say, I am Yahweh's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob. And another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yahweh and shall name himself by the name of Israel. I'm going to skip through the details of this, and I'm going to read the correct translation. One shall say, I am Yahweh's, and this, the one, shall call himself by the name of Jacob. So that's the first witness. His name is Jacob. The other one shall subscribe with his hand and write. So we see the second witness is actually a scribe. See that there? He subscribes with his hand. That means he writes books. He writes. He's a scribe. He writes for Yahweh. But he also surnames himself by the name of Israel. So the one who is named Israel subscribes with his hand and writes. And I'm reading from one of his books, The Two Witnesses. Therefore, the book of Yahweh, the Holy Scriptures, has been correctly translated. Because according to prophecy, Israel has been given authority. According to this verse here, Israel has been given authority from Yahweh to be his personal scribe. Yes, Israel has authority to correct the scriptures. Read it again. The other will subscribe with his hand. The other will subscribe. He will subscribe. Look this up in Hebrew. He will subscribe with his hand and write. And write. This word subscribe is the Hebrew word katab. Katab is 3789 in Strong's Hebrew Dictionary. It means to write. It means to prescribe. It means to record. It means scribe. Yisrael Hawkins is a scribe for Yahweh. You see it? You see it? I see it. You see it? Another will subscribe with his hand to Yahweh. He will surname himself by the name of Israel. Isaiah 34:16. The one who named himself Israel has subscribed with his hand. He's edited, corrected these false translations. The book of Yahweh has been restored. Give me Isaiah 34:16. Everyone needs to get them a copy. Go to www.yahweh.com. You need to get you a copy of the book of Yahweh. It's the most accurate and authentic Bible translation on the face of the earth. I use it exclusively. I use the book of Yahweh exclusively. All these errors that the Christians and Jews are fighting over, these errors are not in the book of Yahweh. They have been corrected. He followed the Hebrew word for word, verbatim. Yisrael is a Hebrew scholar. May Yahweh bless your understanding.
Yeah, thank you for your 5 minutes conclusion there. Now this will be Dr. Chrisclaus' 5 minutes conclusion, and then we'll head to the 10 minutes, questions and answers. Go ahead, Dr. Chrisclaus, your mic.
Yes, thank you very much. I only serve Jesus. I do thank Olkey as well for giving his 5-minute conclusion, or as I would say yet again, maybe just another opening statement. But needless to say, I will give my conclusion here. So in my presentation, I presented that. Now again, I want to go over the debate topic because it may have been lost through in this conversation. The actual debate topic is, did the two witnesses spoke about in the Bible establish the house of Yahweh? Now, I presented in my opening statement that if it was the two witnesses to establish it, they would have had to speak from the Lord, of course. I also went to Deuteronomy 18, Deuteronomy 18 verses 21 and 22. And Moses said within there, how will we know whether or not a prophecy is from the Lord? If the prophet speaks in the Lord's name, but his prediction does not happen or come true, you will know that the Lord did not, again, did not give that message. So I wanted to test that theory. And let's just see if Yisrael Hawkins made a prediction that did not come true. So I then asked Olkey during the question and answer this simple question. Did 4/5 of the world's population get wiped out between 1999 and the middle of the year in 2002? The answer Olkey gave was no. So, in conclusion, Yisrael Hawkins made a false prediction, which means, now let's hold Yisrael Hawkins' prediction to the criteria that Moses provides. So did Yisrael Hawkins say that he speaks for the Lord? Of course. He is one of the two witnesses. Okay. Did he make a prophecy? Yes, he did make a prophecy. Did this prophecy come true? No, it did not. And Olkey, being a follower of the house of Yahweh, actually admits that this prophecy did not come true. So if we use the criterion that Moses gives us in Deuteronomy 18:22, what does that mean? Well, let's just read it. Whenever a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord and the prophecy does not come about or is not fulfilled, then the Lord has not spoken it. So we can conclude by this failed prediction that the Lord did not speak this to Yisrael Hawkins. This is one of the main proofs to show that no, Yisrael Hawkins is not one of the two witnesses, so therefore the two witnesses did not establish the house of Yahweh. And Olkey's actually admitted this through the question and answer. I don't understand what's so hard. Olkey, when you come up in your conclusion, you said, I'm just getting started. Well, sir, you have had 20 minutes of start time before your 5-minute conclusion. So therefore, I don't understand why you would be just starting your presentation in your conclusion, sir. But I would also like to say to the room, if we find that Yisrael Hawkins made a prophecy that did not come true, it must not have come from the Lord. And we've seen this. Olke admitted it. So, I do thank everybody for coming and showing up for the debate. I do believe that I have proven my case that no, the two witnesses did not establish the house of Yahweh. And of course, if the two witnesses established the house of Yahweh, then, sorry about that, off the mic.
Yeah, thank you for that, Dr. Chris. So that was the end of the conclusions, guys. So now let's head to the questions and answers. All right? So you guys have a question. You can either, maybe I should, that room. That'll be a good idea. So yeah. All right, we have two people here. So Olke, let's give, how many minutes shall we give Olke? 1 or 2? What do you say, guys? 2 minutes is enough, right? 2 minutes. Yeah, all right, 2 minutes. Yeah. Okay, you'll have 2 minutes to respond, and we do the same thing as we did in the crossfire. You guys have 1 minute to formulate your question. So, Good Humor, you will start to formulate your question, and then Olke, he will have 2 minutes to answer the question. Go ahead, I'll start the time.
Give me a one if I can be heard. Why are y'all trying?
Sorry, Olke, it's not your mic. Go ahead, Good Humor. You will have the mic after Good Humor has started the question. Good Humor, are you here? Are you here? All right, your mic. Go ahead.
No. You have to let me.
I'm very sorry, Olke. You have to wait so we can ask the question. So, Good Humor, are you here? Go ahead, your mic. Are you here, Good Humor, man? Olke, just be patient. All right, Millie. So Millie, go ahead, your mic. Whoever takes the mic, doesn't matter. Go ahead, Millie, your mic. You're not on. Millie, are you here? Can you hear me? You're not on the mic. Please, guys, I haven't started the time yet. When you guys get on the mic, I will start the time. So, would you please take the mic? Doesn't matter whoever takes the mic, just take the mic. All right, go ahead.
All right, can I have a mic test, please? Just tell me my mic's all right. Thanks a lot. Okay, you said that the evidence given about Yisrael Hawkins was false by the Christians, and part of what he said was made up. Now, there is a video on YouTube which has him saying that the 1997 prophecy, that a third of the people in the Middle around the Euphrates will be killed. I've seen that video, and I've seen Yisrael Hawkins saying it himself. Mike's free.
Okay, let me answer. Remember, the #1 rule was no red dotting. That was the only rule, no red dotting. I've been red dotted 5 times. That's the only rule I requested, is let me speak. This guy, Dr. Chrisclaus, he ended with a lie. So I will answer both of y'all at the same time. This guy lied. He said that Israel said 4/5 of the earth's population will be dead by 2002. This is false. Israel never said that 4/5 of the earth's population will be dead by 2002. The nuclear baby's 2007. A third part of the people would be killed first, over 1/4 of the earth. Then it would spread to 4/5 of the world being wiped out by the time this is over with. In order to refute Israel, you have to quote him verbatim. You have to get his words right. You have to get his words right. So now I was able to get that out. I will proceed to take questions. But this debate needs to be continued longer. I need more time. I haven't even shown the prophecies of the two witnesses. I've been addressing lies, misconceptions. The mic is now free.
Let me try this again. Can I get a mic check? Okay, good. Interesting interview, and I thank you guys for the format by which you've handled this thing. You've been gentlemen. My question is to Olke. Olke, if I remember right in your opening statement, you said that the two witnesses had been on the earth for 40 or was it 45 years prophesying prophesying so far. Which one was it, 40 or 45 years? Speaking for over 40 years. Okay. Well, if we go to the Bible, Revelation chapter 11, verse 3, I'm going to put this in text. It says this, "And I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." Now, this is a definite timeline for these witnesses to prophesy, 3.5 years under the Jewish calendar. Now, this differs quite a bit from the 40 years that you say that these two prophets have been on the earth already preaching. Can you answer that, why there is such a discrepancy in that arena?
Yes, I would love to answer that question. Give me a one if I could be heard. I'd love to answer that question. Give me Revelation 11, verse 3 from the King James Version. Let's read the mistranslation. "I will give power unto my two witnesses. They shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." Read these. Read it. These words in their original form, it does not say that the two witnesses will only prophesy for 1,200 days. It doesn't say that. This is a Christian interpretation. Let me say this again. I want it on record. This does not say that the two witnesses will only prophesy for 3.5 years. It just simply doesn't say this. This is a misinterpretation. It's a misinterpretation. You're trying to hide the prophecy that Yahweh's revealed. Go back to Revelation 11, verse 1 and 2. Every Christian ignores this. Look at Revelation 1 and 2. Every Christian ignores this. It starts off with them measuring the temple. Why don't anybody bring that out? This is the greatest sign. The two witnesses will measure the temple without the outer court. Who on the whole planet Earth has a temple measurement with no outer court? Israel Hawkins. The third temple that Israel Hawkins prophesies of, this temple will be rebuilt with no outer court around it. The Muslim mosque is sitting on the southern. The Muslim mosque is sitting in the southern area. That's what Revelation 11:2 is telling you.
Okay, your time's up. Next question. Mike's free.
Thank you. Okay, I really must press you on this. Bearing in mind Dr. Chrisclaus's question and evidence from the Bible which says if a prophet prophesies something and it doesn't come to pass, that proves that he is not a prophet. And although he didn't coincide with your dates, and there were 2 videos, you're quite right, and the other video you're on about does say 1/3 of the people around the Euphrates will be wiped out in a nuclear war. Now, well, a third of the people around the Euphrates didn't die. Even if it's not 4/5, he said 1/3. I've seen that video. So it's still the same. It didn't come to pass, did it? So he can't be a prophet, and the Bible proved that. Your mic.
Now, I will repeat myself again. Give me a 1. This is where you have to make your choice. Yisrael prophesied the nuclear baby would be born June 12, 2007. I've read you the news articles where George Bush gave the order. George Bush gave the order in June. George Bush gave the order in June of 2007. He gave the order to drop 6 nuclear bombs on Iran. The United States Air Force actually refused to obey the order of George Bush. George Bush tried to do this before he left the president office, if you remember. George Bush gave the order to drop the nuclear baby on Iran. 6 nuclear weapons, 6 bombs. The United States Air Force refused to drop it. The prophecy was fulfilled. This fulfills the prophecy. Because there's another prophecy which comes into the picture. There's the abomination of desolations. There's another reason the prophecy was held back. Yahweh only held back the nuclear part. Yahweh only held back the nuclear part of the wars, as is shown in Matthew 24, 21, and 22. Those days had to be shortened. Give me Matthew 24. Those days had to be shortened. See, y'all did not follow Israel's prophecy to the full. You didn't follow the whole prophecy. You listened to one newscast of him. You only listened to one. Matter of fact, you only listened to Yisrael Hawkins. You only listened to 1 minute of his broadcast. You did not even listen to the whole 30 minutes of the prophetic word. Because y'all cannot stand to hear the fire coming from his mouth. So you don't even really understand the.
Thank you very much. So your time's up, Oki. So we have 1 minute left. If you guys have any questions, or I will end the debate there. So, you have any question, guys? All right. I will end the debate there. Thank you very much, guys, for coming to the room. I thank the audience, and I hope you enjoyed the debate. It was very interesting. Mike's free.